Then I asked him, why am I coming to that? What has happened? Then he said, you are hypertensive. Your BP is 180.
180?
Yes.
That's serious. And as we speak, she has tears this
180.
Strolling down her eyes.
So all that came to my mind is, am I coming to die and leave my baby and the other 2 kids? The doctor said they would detain me for 3 hours and see. They checked later on and it was 150. So they gave me some drugs and I went home because I was carrying the baby. I went there alone. So I came home. When I came home, my husband has packed some few clothes in his bag, small bag. Then I asked him, where is he going? Then he said, now it's up to him to go around and look for money. If not, we will not eat. Because the little money that he has been getting, that is what he has been using to pay the bank, thinking that he will get the extra value. Then we will use that one.
Okay, so he was also taking the extra value to pay off the loan.
Yes,
okay.
Thinking that he was also thinking as I was thinking.
You're saying,
when you finish paying
off the loan, then you get
to start something.
Okay, so if he had invested 60,000, he should be earning something 6,000 a month. Right.
So I told him he shouldn't go because right now you don't have anywhere to go. If you go, you have to go to your mother. Then he said he can't go to his mother. As we were talking, all his money, the mother too was down with stroke. So when you wait, the money that you get, you just have to send everything. As me too, my mother too is down with stroke. So we have to at least send some money to the village for them to take care of. Then he said no, he cannot afford to let the children go to school and being sack home, so he will go. So I didn't force him. The next morning he went back to Sunyani. Then I went the following day, I went to Menzgold. I went to play with them that I begged them they should just give me something little, at least to start something. And I couldn't get not a single person to even to talk to.
Okay.
I was crying with the baby.
When was this?
That was
so you went in June.
15th September.
Okay, so you invested in June, right?
June 13th.
Okay, 13th. So June, July, August. This is less than 3 months.
Took only once.
Oh, okay.
And nothing happened. They said the SEC people came in on the 12th August. So that means they will not pay those people who fall after the 12th. That is, mine is 13th. Then I said, okay, if that be the case, then I don't want to do it again because in the contract they stated that if you want to terminate the appointment, they would take 25%.
Okay.
So I told them that, okay.
They should take the 25% and give
me the rest. So that I will take it back to the bank. At least then I'll be free.
Yeah.
That one too, they said no. What is going on? So in fact, I was a bit worried. I showed them the hospital. They said that I'm hypertensive now because of this. Still, they didn't mind. So I went home. I was there for about 2 weeks thinking that something good would come up. But still, now I have sold all that I have. The mobile phone I was using, I sold it and I went for the old one. I hardly feed my kids 3 times a day. At times I have to go out, borrow money from friends. Just this December, my landlady came to tell me that he has realized I can't pay.
Sorry.
I can't pay. And even if I can pay, he's increasing it from 350 to 500.
Wow.
If I can pay, then we should stay. If we can't, I shall prepare and give him my place. So I called Mr. Brown. We are in different groups. The CACM, the leader. I told him that this is what is going on. And Brown said, I should try and talk to me, the PRO of Menzgold. I have all the chats, begging, all to no avail. So I decided that if this be the case, then I will just go back to the village, to my mom's place. So on the 25th, I packed out, we went there. Within 2 days, my kids started falling sick.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Okay, what are their ages? Sorry.
10, 8, and a year.
Okay, 10, 8, and 1. The last is a year old. Really sorry about this, Jane. Where's the husband now?
I called the brother in the morning. In the night, I nearly died. So he called. He was not picking my call because he knew that I was coming to ask him money. He said he's at Sunyani. He'll be coming tomorrow. I don't know whether he'll be able to come because when they come, we have only a lot of people.
Okay, because in addition, you've been borrowing from Sally. I saw you also.
I have even lost my brother due to this.
What happened to him?
He was knocked down by a motorcycle at Suhum, and he was referred from Suhum to Pulebu. When my junior brother called me, I went there and he asked me to deposit 12,000
for the hospital. And obviously you could not afford that. Of course, a heartbreaking story, Jane. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. There's a human side to all this, as we've been talking about in the last few weeks. Jane, Sally, I know you've been tearing up as well. It's been pretty difficult because I know you're a mother yourself. Pretty tough. You haven't invested in Menzgold.
No, I haven't.
You hear her story, and what's the emotion apart from the obvious tears that you share? And I can see the children because she brought them. And so this is not a story that she's made up. This is real. This is real lives affected by this. Jane, sorry about that. Yes, Sally.
Evans, I am so sad. I'm a mother, and for you to not be able to feed your kids is something that no woman should ever go through. It's rather unfortunate. I don't even know what to say. I'm sure a lot of people are going through the same thing, but it's only Jane who is fortunate to have come here and then sharing her story. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling her pain because they are going through the same thing. This is a national disaster. It's not something that, a friend of mine was telling me that, Sally, if care is not taken, a lot of people will die as a result of this. And look at her, she's hypertensive because of a situation like this. So it's sad. It's so sad.
And it's part of the questions we are asking tonight. And the poll that we did was asking, in essence, what you make of the way this has been handled by the state agencies. Adams, your reaction to what you just heard. I'm sure we together on radio, we've heard a lot of stories, right? I haven't heard something as close to this in terms of when you strip it all off, it comes down to these lives. All the warrants, they talk about money's involved, the demonstration, strip it all off, it comes down to these lives. What was your reaction?
For me, I think I sympathize with the lady here. I believe every one who is listening, unless you don't have a heart, you would sympathize with her. It doesn't matter if they were told not to invest and they did invest. For me, I keep telling people that doesn't matter now. What matters most is those who are heavily affected. How do we encourage them? How do we get them to cross probably the river now? But if we keep going back to the fact that we should leave them, then we are going to, I'm sure there are people who are in worse situations than hers. And so for me, it's something that I would say our leaders could have acted with promptness, because the moment, she told you she was paid cash. If the Bank of Ghana did tell us that there's some mystery shopping, they went in, they deposited money, and since time immemorial, I know people were getting paid cash. And when you buy treasury bills or you even deposit your money with the microfinance and the other deposit taking institutions, they don't give you cash.
It goes into an account.
It goes into an account. So it meant that from the word go, there was something wrong. And somebody failed to, cross the dots. And you also realize that I did hear the bulldog speak, and I believe that if you listen to what he said, this probably wouldn't have gotten here. As we speak, we have figures being thrown around: 1.8 million customers, $200 million. As whether this is true or this is not true, Evans, between myself and you, we have lost that. At the moment, we will never get to know the true number of people who invested money in Menzgold and will never get to know the actual figures because documentation probably wouldn't be there. And so how then, if this woman brings you her document, how can you prove that it is true she invested money with Menzgold? And so for me, I think that the SEC, before they went in there and said stop, they should have done due diligence to say, okay, but
let's clarify though, because SEC never asked them to stop in terms of paying the SEC had to suspend one aspect of the taking of
even if any of I don't know the biggest bank in this country in terms of capital. If you tell the biggest bank in Ghana here in terms of those who take capital not to stop taking deposits, I mean, they'll collapse. I mean, let's be realistic. If you tell me to stop taking money without doing due diligence, I am not saying it meant because per what Menzgold. If you know the Minerals Commission commissioner, once said on your network, evening network, that they transferred some money or some minerals up to $60 million. It meant that did they buy some minerals somewhere? And so before you ask them to start taking deposit, you will sit with them, negotiate with them, because at the end of the day, this money as we are talking about is public money. Remember the people's money. This is Bank of Ghana printed CDs that have been collected from Ghanaians. And so if the monies are not in Ghana and because of that there's some shortage, you are asking Bank of Ghana to use our money again to print more currency. And so mine is that we are treating this as if this is some private money. This is still public money because you see this is an institution that was established, collected monies from people. SEC went in there to say stop without asking them, come, let's know how many people have deposited money with you or have bought gold with you. Let's know how much you have paid. So they would have done all that as we speak.
And remember that the state agencies are tried for them to open up. And we saw the public posturing of APPIAH Mensa, which was, we don't owe you anything. We are not entitled to tell you anything. Remember that? We remember all that. The Facebook was supposed about how bravado. You don't regulate us. How dare you? So with that sort of, we heard from the Bank of Ghana Deputy Governor say that as far as they were concerned, they were totally closed. And the public posturing was exactly that. And so, and I guess the point that has been made is Menzgold themselves were a huge part of the problem. Yeah, the state agencies could have acted sooner, but they did. And if the guy tells you don't start taking deposit, he didn't say that you should shut down.
No, my point is that at this point, you see,
you can still pay
what you are saying is true. Where we are at the moment, I believe we need to change. There should be some paradigm shift. We need to change the discussion from we ask you not to do this to what must we do.
But okay,
because at the moment, as we speak, you did allude to the fact that they asked them not to do ABCD. The customers were I made a comment and I heard a lot of text messages threatening, so I stopped. My point is that today, as we speak in Yendi, you have probably Yendi is under siege by the military and the police. It tells you how powerful the state is. And so if the state wanted to stop in, no individual can stop the state. If the president decides that Ghanaians are being chaotic and he asks all of us to sleep, maybe, I don't know how many people went through the coups. They ask you to sleep from a certain time to a certain time, you must sleep. And so mine is that the state could have acted a bit more, early, so that before we get to this woman's money, I wouldn't say the state should pay any customer of Menzgold. That shouldn't happen.
I see Jane, when you said that I wouldn't say that the state should pay, you were shaking your head. What is it that you want now? Because your situation is a pretty serious one. What is it that you want?
Customer says government should use the taxpayers' money to pay us. To me, it's wrong. But we want the government to order him to pay us the money. He has the money. He has to pay us. We are dying.
Okay.
Now I can't bury my brother. Okay. I can't go home.
Yeah. So in other words, arrest him.
Yes.
And get the money that he's holding from him and pay us. Okay. Kumi, you said in the song, and I will let you, and that song is apt for this occasion because it's done to appease the customers who are suffering. And you know, you had first of all your reaction to the story you just heard from Jane.
Okay. I wish God gives me adequate or the exact words to say, not
How
to
you
say
feel?
things that would make people angry, but rather let them have patience and soften their hearts. So that's what I plead before I start talking with God. I've been quiet, you know. I've gone to so many interviews, but I don't feel this way.
The way you feel right now.
Like, there are stories. I've heard stories. I've even heard ones that are heavier than. And me myself, I'm a victim.
You are?
Yes.
How?
Because I'm also an investor.
Oh, you put your money there?
Them, yeah.
Exactly.
How much?
So, well, no, I wouldn't like to put that out. But I only want to sympathize with the lady here. I saw the kids. I have kids myself, and somebody just asked me, "Are these your kids?" And I said, "I wish," because my kids are way younger than I think.
Okay.
The last one is just like the last one she has.
Yeah.
So, I would say, in this time, I can only plead with her to take God serious and ask God to intervene, so that wherever APPIAH Mensa is or can, whatever he can do, to come down to make sure that these people are okay, his name is also clean, the country is peaceful. At least if it has to do with anything, they won't mention Menzgold, they won't mention NAM1, maybe it will be another story. You know, Penny say Adishimbia was some Friday. So my prayer, I keep writing NAM1 will rise again, not to say that I'm telling people to shut up or not to say whatever they want, but if NAM1 rises again, the customers will be fine, his name will be clean, me myself as an artist in xylophone will be fine, and job will be okay.
Let me ask
comes
you,
back to normal.
You were, is it fair to say you were close to him?
Yes.
Yeah, close to him. So where is he? Do you know?
It's a very difficult question to answer when people ask me, but I would say even before these things happened, he's not someone who stays in Ghana often. He goes and comes. He travels, does things, comes back. Sometimes he's here for a month, sometimes he's out there for a month or two. He comes back, sometimes he goes for a week and comes back, depending on what he's doing. I think it got to even a time, being at xylophone, we used to see him often. It got to a time for 2-3 months, you don't even see him because there are people you report to, so you don't necessarily have to see him personally, you know. But sometimes we chat, sometimes you message him, it takes a while for him to respond. I mean, it is his way of life, like being a businessman, moving outside and coming in. But because of issues, I mean, if people have their monies in Menzgold and they are looking for you around and they can't find you and they don't hear from you too, obviously, I don't fault anybody who's saying he's running or
is he running? Knowing him?
I don't know. Knowing him, I never think. He's a man. It saddens me to hear all these things happening around him and his name, because he's a man who wants every single person to gain financial independence. As in, he wants you to be able to move, not to rely on even him. There was once I was talking to me, he said, "Kumi, I'm investing in your music, not because of a lot of things, but one thing in mind, so that you can take care of your family, so that you can help those who also rely or depend on you to survive. Maybe you have a mom, you have a little brother, you have a friend who depends on you to survive. When you can also help him become who he wants to be." So knowing him and his values and him saying Ghana shall prosper, and actually...
Are you surprised that it's been at least 3 days? I think this happened on Wednesday, Thursday, today's Friday evening, when the arrest warrant has been issued globally, Interpol. We still haven't heard from him. He must have heard it, wherever he is. He must have heard it. Knowing him, aren't you not surprised? If he's not running, he should have at least owned up by now.
When I believe that if NAM1 should come, he should say something for every or 90% of the issues, to at least the dust should settle. He can't just come without saying nothing to us. I don't know if you get from
so you're saying that it should come, for example, and be ready to pay Jane.
Exactly.
Probably.
Okay.
Or if not all, maybe he's coming and say, "Look, I was out there trying to see one or two
but
people."
if he delays, Jane and the children know what she's going
Exactly.
through. It probably will be too late for the likes of
even
Jane.
now as we speak, maybe
It's too late for many people. Yeah,
Yes.
she's talking about
So
the brother who was knocked down by a car.
the issues are here. Like I side with my brother here. What do we do to make sure, like the likes of my sister here, the likes of many people who have maybe severe issues, maybe than hers, would at least be okay. Maybe they should hear something to give them hope that there are other financial institutions facing the same thing, like WDG, TCL. I mean, there are other people.
I've heard those.
Yes, yes, but it looks like the investments here are huge, probably, or the numbers there, or maybe NAM1's phase was in the people, you know, so his is everywhere. But I can tell you for a fact, there are like 2-3 people going through the same thing. There are other investors, people investing in other financial institutions that are facing the same problems.
How has this affected you? You say you are a victim of
yes.
You have money there, but some say your money that you have there is just the contracts that were signed with you that sometimes were converted into money that were put there. It's not like they owed you money that is there. Is that what it is?
No, it's like somebody telling you that your boss has given you money to work. Maybe he's paid you a year to work. He's given you a year's salary, and then your boss has a bank, and you have a kind of investment there, and then you put the money there, and then something happens. The person tells you you don't deserve that. You were working; those monies were yours. If the year ended and nothing,
so have you been paid?
As in,
but you get paid.
I told you we are all victims. Nobody has been. I heard people.
So the contract we signed, has it been? What was the last time you got monetary rewards from this contract?
It has it doesn't. I don't have to get money every day or every month due to my contract.
Yeah.
I'll be given my promotional budget to work with, and then I come defend it. And let's say they give me money for Betweener to promote, and then I have to come back and tell them, and they are hearing it's playing. Okay, I gave that. So this is how I spent it. Okay, so now we look forward for an album so that we can sell those products and recoup the money back. You play shows, recoup the money back. You know, so it's not like they give you the money to just go. I mean, do anything with it and come back. So that's how it works with my contract. I don't know about my other.
And how has that been affected by what has happened?
Yeah, obviously, I give an example, like if there's a father or mother home who gives breakfast before you go to school, and the father is no more around or the mother is no more around, you will have to wake up and go to school hungry, or do the breakfast yourself. So if you normally have to wake up at 5, now you have to wake up at 4 or 3, probably, so that you can also prepare something before you.
So you're doing stuff on your own now?
No, the company still works.
Okay.
But just like I said, it will be hit a little, yes.
Yeah.
But not entirely. I've not heard any news around that Xylophone is shut down, or anybody has issues with Xylophone that is not working anymore.
Sally, quick one, and then I'll come to you. You worked in that industry and heard the stories about, and some say you hear Jane's story. It's Jane's money, for example, that was used to put into all this entertainment stuff when people's lives were at stake. Is that what happened, knowing what you know?
I cannot, confidently say that, that's what NAM1 used to do all that, because as to where he has kept all their monies, where he's invested it, I cannot say, because I don't work with them. Yeah. But what I can say is that I agree with you, 100% when you said that his posture is making all these people suffer. I absolutely agree with you, because he came off as somebody who was so untouchable. Bank of Ghana is a joke, this, that, So even if somebody wanted to sympathize with him or do something for him, because of the posture, it would have been very difficult. And I do not think that SEC or whatever agency is involved in this will just sit and say that I'm just coming to take over something. I'm sure they might have called him a couple of times and all of that.
And I must say, there's a document I saw on PM Express which you read out. It hasn't really been caught on. And then to come to the thing, apparently, and this is a letter that was written by SEC themselves, they had done months of investigation, compiled the dossier of the possible criminal activity at Menzgold. And they say in August they submitted that criminal investigation, the dossier they have, to Iyoko to look into it. August, September, October, November, December, we are in January, right? That's almost 6 months. We haven't heard much from that, but and that, I guess, is the heart of the problem. If SEC did that, based on which they acted, and that they found possible criminal activity and gave it to Iyoko, what did Iyoko do between that time and now in probing those matters? I'll come to all of you on that particular matter. But listen, we've been focusing a lot of this on the Ghanaian local I guess, implications of this. But they are Ghanaians abroad who took monies from London, US, South Africa, whatever, and came to Ghana and invested in Menzgold. Let's go to London. Let's speak to a very well-known radio presenter there, Force. Hello, Force. Hello, Force.
Hello, Evans. Good evening. Well, good evening to you, Evans. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you too?
I'm very, very, very well.
Long time no talk.
I can't complain. I think it's more your side, not my side. Because anytime we arrange to meet, you basically have an excuse, don't you?
I agree. Okay, but tell me, were you one of those who, took the Queen's pound and flew to Ghana and invested in Menzgold? Because I told a lot of people in London did that.
Well, Evans, thank you very much for giving me this platform to give the London perspective on this specific conversation that we're having. With Ghana Connect. I'm not one of those people because I was a bit clued, and I think I had some words to say about this scheme when it came up. Because personally, with my little experience in the financial sector, I did not see it as a viable business. That is my perception. In fact, when I said it on other networks, I was castigated. I was basically yelled at, and I was seen as the devil in disguise. I gave it some time frame because these things have happened around the world. But let's not forget, people here in London, people here, not just London, in the United Kingdom, I am aware I can name people who actually not just took their own money, but went as far as took out loans that they are paying now and invested in Menzgold.
You mean they took loans from UK banks?
Yes, UK banks that they were going to be paying with their salaries, that they're going to be like monthly deductions out of it, and invested it in Menzgold. And as we speak, those people can't even come out to say how badly how badly a card they've been dealt. People tend to actually dissociate the fact that we are in the diaspora from our pain to what is happening in people in Ghana, because we're seen as some of us are seen as we're in a privileged position. However, most of us do invest in Ghana, and people have invested in this scheme as well, and they are suffering as well. Just to give you a little perspective over the whole thing.
And that is fascinating. And does that explain why? And Israel went to do this story, and we know what happened when he was castigated. A lot of people are bringing his stone to him. And is that the reason why that little office and that pomp and pageantry we saw, where there's staff in London walking down that street, was open, so that people in London who were taking these loans from UK banks in pounds could easily put money in Menzgold accounts there?
Let me just clarify that point to you. That London office, in the UK, for example, there are office spaces that any company who doesn't actually live or work physically here, they can rent these offices. You've heard of Regis. There are other schemes like that. So to me, with my personal experience and knowing Berkeley Square very well, that wasn't a fully fledged office that was being operated as it was seen. So when Israel did that story, I think it was way back in September, if my memory serves me right, and I did second the story that he did, because with those offices, there are gatekeepers, and those gatekeepers will not let you go past the sitting area, which is basically the norm everywhere. Some of them have e-secretaries where you call, or the only way you can get to them is info at the company, and then they can forward the company's that email onto the company to deal with you directly. These things are very, very common here. It's not illegal to do that. However, the bit that got me a bit worried was the fact that any financial institution, any company in this country, in the UK, with my experience dealing in any form of finance and gold and stuff like that, there's a regulator that you have to go through. Unfortunately, I did not see any of the regulators' name on their website. However, if you are working in this country and you are doing such a business, or you are dealing in finances, you have to say you are guided by, for example, FCA, Financial Control Authority, or one of those things. However, this brings me back to the bit that you did allude to earlier before you came to me. I was privy to that sex report that they did, that they sent to Yoko. And my question that I always ask, What happened to those law enforcement? Are they there to enforce the law, or are they there to basically take documents and say, we're giving you a warning? What was the letter of the law saying after that dossier came out?
A very important question for us, and I'm grateful that you connected with us and given us that perspective from an international point of view. And so you thought that, and then people said, "Oh, the people who did it in Ghana, are illiterate." Listen, people, don't joke. Do not joke with this. He just told us people in London working, they took money from UK banks and brought the pounds. Can you imagine the amount of money that the man will have to work with? Did that surprise you at all?
No, I know a couple of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Londoners?
Me too. US.
I know a couple of
people
them.
from the US?
I know a couple of Londoners.
So what? They take the loans and then they fly to Ghana to come and invest?
All their assets.
I know a couple of them who brought
Some
the
of them
pounds.
even sold their assets.
Yeah, I mean,
they sold their assets in US, in your case, and brought the money down to come and invest it.
Yep.
But anyway, we'll speak to a financial and risk consultant from Canada. And the thing about, they call this Ponzi scheme. We didn't invent it. We didn't invent it. It's been going on in the US and Canada for ages. And they have done a lot to crack down on that. People have gone to jail for years.
Yeah.
Madoff, I think it's called, right? That's a very famous case you should read about. And so these people know how this works. But they have fine-tuned the systems to deal with people like Menzgold. And in fact, if assuming that there's some guilt there, we don't know yet.
Yep.
Okay, Kumi has told us that the man he knows will not dupe people, right? But the SEC and co believe he did. We'll speak to him about how has Canada and US, for example, where this has been rife in the past, how have they dealt with this? But I want to quickly hear from some of you, because we did a poll. I want to hear what you've been saying to us. Ernest, what did we ask in the poll?
So the poll question is, do you endorse government's general handling of the Menzgold saga?
Okay, this has become a topical question. Government was forced into issuing a statement, and they were categorical that they would not use taxpayers' money to pay. In fact, we've heard from Jane. Her case is a very touching case. She's crying, probably lost her brother because she says of this. But she says to us, I do not want the government to use the taxpayers' money to pay my money. Get the guy to give me the money. I paid him. Simple. What did people say to that question?
And this poll has been running just for 4 hours. We have 52% saying yes, I do.
Okay,
and
so 52% say they endorse government's general handling
of the Menzgold saga. And 48% say no, they do not endorse it.
Okay, and there are 4K plus participants in this poll, which is 1K.
That's
more than 1,000 people participated in that poll. Let me hear
what this is just Facebook. On Twitter, 70% endorse government's general handling, and 30% say they do not endorse.
So there is even more on Twitter. So there's an overwhelming endorsement of government handling of this saga by the public, those who participated in the poll. Let's hear some of the individual comments on this.
Bruno Sheikh says the government has really failed in protecting the customers' investment. If not for the demonstrations, I think that no action would have been taken by now. Government in power always wants people to demonstrate before they act. Free Senaya says, after giving NAM1 diplomatic passport and cover, we cannot confirm.
We can't confirm that, of course.
Yeah.
We don't know that. Government has denied that.
Absolutely. Here's Delat Richie says the government and the SEC knew the law before they closed a deposit-taking institution. They needed to ask them to pay investors' funds and even dividends before doing so, but they failed to do this and rather closed their eyes and looked on.
Ernest, thank you very much. Let me quickly go to Canada. Let me bring in Emmanuel Akron. Hello, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. Okay, we'll connect to Emmanuel shortly. But are you surprised at the poll results? 70% on Twitter say they endorse government's general handling of this. 52% on Facebook say they endorse it. That is overwhelming. If you look at the numbers of participants.
I'm not surprised, because I think, behind, the scene, those of us, the panelists, who were talking about the NAM1's own posturing and investors, the purported, those who invested money in there. Anyone who raised a red flag, they came beating you down. And so you realize that it's almost like, okay, an eye for an eye. When we talked about it, you said you were making your money. But I think we've got to move away from that and begin
to talk about how do you help Jane and co
this is
survive
actually moving into an insecurity
and also on top of my exactly, because it's a national security problem.
This is turning into something else, and we don't want this whole thing to
I keep asking myself, how quickly can the state agencies freeze his assets and start auctioning them to pay people like Jane? I mean, I know there are no legal processes involved.
You can't freeze his asset without going to court.
And then there's a long process.
They need to go to court and make sure even the assets. But as we speak, I mean, some of us knew, if you go to the Kaswa enclave, there had a lot of vehicles. If you come to East Legon, there are so many things that are changing hands very fluid.
Give me a second, Jane. What do you make of the way government has handled this whole thing?
I think the government came in too late.
Okay.
Too late.
Okay.
Because,
too late.
Yes, because initially when the thing happened, to me, I realized there was money that they could have used to pay some of us, especially those that did the investment in 2018.
Especially when your money is just 24,000, 22,000. I mean, that can quickly
the government came too late.
Okay. Let me quickly get your thoughts, final thoughts on this. So, from where you sit, knowing what has happened and all, what do you expect government to do?
I think I second, and I think already they're already doing that, because I heard that about 194 countries Interpol are really looking for him. So I think NAM1, just like Kumi said, I know he's one person that he wants everybody to do well. So in this process, if like he's the man that all of us think that he is, he show up.
Yeah.
Show up. If he needs
to speak in his own interest.
Exactly. If he needs to even speak with governmental, people to give him the sort of security that he wants to be able to be present and do right by these people, he has to show up. Okay. Because if you are not showing up, then a lot of people are speculating. We don't know what you're about.
Kumi, you need to do that music for me as we end. But are you one of those who say, knowing who he is, having worked with him and closely with him, you're appealing to him to return wherever he is tonight? If he's listening, what do you tell him?
I'm sure if even now, with all the issues, I know if everything should go down, they say they want to bring Menzgold back, we might lose 90% customers. True. But there'll be 10% who still want to work with him.
Possibly,
So for the sake of those who still believe in him.
Yeah. You still believe in him?
I do.
Yes, I do.
You still believe in him?
100%.
Okay.
I do.
I know him.
Okay.
I'm not saying I know every business he does and how he goes about it.
But the little convinces you that he's genuine.
Yes.
So what do you tell him on the back of that, wherever he is tonight?
I know he's not running.
Okay.
I know he's not on the run. I know he's not running from all of us. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that he wishes that xylophone becomes bigger than it is. And he won't run. So I plead, and I'm sure if he shows up, a lot of people would still have confidence that.
So your plea is what?
My plea is that he's not come back like us in his running.
Okay.
Yes, but show up to let people know that he's not. But I'm sure that wherever he is, he's not relaxed like he's sleeping and doesn't care about us. I'm sure it's for the good reasons.
Okay, let's hear that. Let's hear that.
Yeah. It was. I think it will change a little because it was a freestyle like
Yes, no problem.
Asem na bintra and from a kese na boku do onwa anu me na asem na bintra. I plead with every customer. I plead with Obiani who I can't be a say, Yenya Butra Yena. Yambampa say, Bibia Bay. Mammy Assam Kojawate, Bebrena, Nefesika. Every bank TV, Dibegu. I never watch it. I'm not saying, say, me bossy, okay. Debbie. I'm not saying say I stand by him to say that more clients no men famo. I'm a victim myself. Then I am umpire. Government beso mo nana APPIAH mrefi. No my akumanto yen mwati. Nana APPIAH nyane yo. Njiri se bibia wo bia no. Ya hu donti. Ana e bia no hihye niama. Se na be ya clients a yedi abubu. Ya yedi
to us on Ghana Connect. I'm grateful for joining us. Your final word, and this is just in 5 seconds, in few words.
I think it is in his own interest to come back, because if he doesn't come, when Interpol bundles him wherever they find him and they bring him,
that becomes
chances are that he's not going to be going home.
Thank you very much. Jane, this must be a tough time for you. What do you hope now? What's your hope now?
I hope he will come back and settle us.
And settle you, I hope. There's something that Kumi said that I need to ask you. He says, knowing what he knows of him, he still trusts that he has really, in the midst of when this started, what's your own feeling about him? Because I heard a lot of customers say to us, we believe in him. What's your own feeling now, looking back now?
Actually, I don't have
anything. All you need is for the money to come so that you can do it.
Because I just heard his name, July. I didn't know him.
Okay.
So I don't know much about him.
Okay. I'm grateful.
Yeah. Like we said, I mean, I'm one person that I've not worked with him. You know, I've not come in contact with him and all of that, but you know, I believe in some of his principles, and I'm praying and hoping that, you know, he will come. And just like Kumi said, he is, you know, one of the smartest, you know, persons on this planet. I'm sure maybe he's putting something together, but since he's been declared wanted, he has to come home.
Please come. Kumi, I'm grateful that you join us, and I'm told you're rebranding as well.
Yes. In the mix of everything, I feel that we're artists. We still work, and Xylophone is still working. Xylophone doesn't have any issues with the people or anything, so that's part of us still working. So we need to add up and try and move on as artists signed on the label. You know, we can't say because there are issues we're not working, and because there are issues, because our contract still is valid. Yeah. You know, so yes, I have Carlos Collections working with now. We're looking at trying to have a new look, and then more to appeal more to every aspect of the life, like the old, the young, even in the middle, you know, so that this job would move forward and move better.
Okay, I'm grateful that you joined us, Kumi. Thank you for that song that you did. Very thoughtful of you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ghana Connect. My name is MENSAH'S.